Morning all, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Andrea Evans, and we are back with another installment of Warriors of Attraction. And this, I guarantee, will be the most powerful live I've ever done. So before I get started, please like, comment, share, whatever you need to do in awareness and acceptance. And before I play this new video, it's called No Excuses. Obviously, disclaimer, I don't own this video at all. I downloaded it off YouTube. I was taking part in an 80-mile run. 80-mile step or walk for mental health. Me and my partner have now smashed that. I think I'm on like 81 or 82 miles now. So we're doing this for the month. And my wife just said she's done 86. So there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the exclusive videos because we're talking about empowerment and I believe you'll enjoy this. So enjoy.
The truth of the matter is, how are you so emotionally injured, so mentally drained, so physically fatigued that you have allowed your dream, your destiny to take a back seat to this excuse that you don't have what it takes, that you're not smart enough, that you're not tall enough, that you're not wide enough, that you're not deep enough, that you're not connected enough, that you don't know enough people. You keep comparing yourself to that person and this person. When will the excuses stop? When will you see your purpose bigger than your excuse? I don't know your name, but I know you have a dream. I don't know where you're from or where you're listening to me. You may be listening to me in your closet, your bedroom, the gym, the car, the bus, the train, the plane. I don't know where you're going, but I know you are going somewhere. You've got a destination. People that make excuses are not connected to their destination. They don't have an end game. They don't have a goal. You have allowed yourself to become a weak link covered under the blanket of excuses. But I'm just wondering if there's anybody here that has a dream. And if you made your excuses bigger than your dream, the time is now to apply pressure. It may not be easy, but it's not impossible. This is not a I feel like it today. This is not a I'm motivated for a week. This is an every single day mentality. You may have to work 3 times. You may have to lose sleep. You may have to go to college and raise 5 children and still maintain your marriage and work your side hustle. I don't know what your story is, but if you will keep a no excuse mentality, then the sky is not your limit. The sky is your starting point. This is an every single day mentality. I never get turned off. Every single day, I want my destiny. I want my dream. When somebody is in love with who they've been called to become, what they've been called to fulfill, what they've been destined to do, there is no day off. There are no lights. Listen, I'm not a light switch. You can't turn me off. I can never get turned off. Every single day, I'm giving everything I have. That's how big my dream is. And so there's no excuse. There's no pain. There's no dilemma. There are no speed bumps. There's no distraction that can turn me off. I'm not a light switch. You can't turn me off. I want this thing every single day.
If it's important to you, you're going to find a way. You won't have to look for a resource. You will become resourceful. It's not always about the accomplishment. It's about the effort. If we can just keep that effort going, the excuse is irrelevant. You got to be stronger than your excuses. Excuses don't get results. Now we've got to go through the process of being stronger than our excuses. We get one opportunity to come this way. We get one shot. We got one life to live. Life is too short to make excuses.
Truth is, everybody's got purpose, right? Everybody's got a dream. Everybody's got something they have to pass or achieve or become. But we are generationally programmed to love convenience. And the truth of the matter is, it is so convenient to make an excuse I want to give you just a few things that you can do to help you to stop making excuses, to help you to stop habitually gravitating to the place called convenience. If you can hear my voice, you've got work to do. You've got a destiny to fulfill. You've got a purpose to walk into. You've got a test to pass. You've got dots to connect, rooms to walk in, stages to stand on, and tables to sit down on. We all want to do something. We all want to be somebody. We all want to go somewhere. And if these things are going to happen, we've got to stop habitually gravitating to excuse. Number one, you got to stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Rule number one, kill the comparison game. Well, I don't do it like them, and I don't say it like them, and I'm not as tall as them, and I'm not as strong as them, and I don't have the money that they have. I don't have the resources that they have. The reason why I couldn't do it is because my parents weren't there for me, and the reason why I didn't get to go to college on a full ride because my coach, he didn't create the highlight reel for the sports scholarship. The reason why, and so we're just programmed to blame everybody else. When will you look in the mirror and stop comparing yourself to everybody else? We compare ourselves to the way people look. We compare our stories to their stories and our relationship to their relationship. Every single day, the excuses that we make are like a warm blanket pulled over us, covering up the underlying issue of fear, the spirit, the personality of fear. Truth is that the reason why you haven't done it is because you're afraid. Maybe if you could just listen to this a couple times, maybe you'll stop making so many excuses, because the excuse is nothing but a cosmetic. It's makeup. It's a blanket. It's a convenience that we habitually gravitate to because it just makes us feel better. But the underlying issue, the underlying cancer, the inflammation is fear. We're afraid. We're afraid that if we give our best, the best isn't good enough. We're afraid because we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. We're afraid that we won't be seen. We're afraid that people will change if we evolve. We're afraid that maybe we'll lose our friends if we began to shift our thinking. You have to have a marriage mentality when it comes to achieving what it is that's on the inside of you, what it is that's in your head, to manifest it and hold it in your hands. You have to have a marriage mentality. The problem with many of you is you keep dating the idea, the potential of focus and success and determination and discipline. You're only disciplined once a week. You're only determined twice a week. You're only enthusiastic about the journey on Sundays or Wednesdays. Once you make a covenant, you know what? I'm going to commit to this. You're going to put the blood, you're going to put the sweat, you're going to put the tears in, you're going to lose sleep, you're going to go days without eating, you're going to do whatever it takes to make the sacrifices necessary to manifest. There are too many people in your life who have left you. There are too many people in your life who have counted you out. There are too many people in your life who have whispered in your ear and said you'll be worse off without them. Prove them wrong. Keep loving those who have lied on you. Keep blessing those who have cursed you. Don't be bitter. Don't be frustrated. Listen, just remain faithful behind the scenes. Promotion is coming. Stages and opportunities are being prepared right now as you sacrifice in secret, as you put the work in the dark room, as you do what is required to hold in your hand what you see in your head.
And there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my co-host for the evening, and as well for every single week, all the way from America, Andrea Evans. Hello, darling.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So before we bring our wonderful guest on, Just tell us about like a little bit about you and what encouraged you, inspired you to say, right, I want to be on this show.
Well, I'm a mental health warrior myself. I bring mental health awareness and I try to bring healing. And I was a guest on your show before and I loved it. So I begged to be back on the show. And then you asked me to be your co-host. You think that didn't just, whoa, yes. So that's how I'm back on the show.
Opportunity, yeah, opportunity. So so what we're going to be doing is we're going to bring on a women's empowerment coach all the way from Australia, and John Trager, and he has got one hell of a story to tell. So I'm going to play our promo video, and let's get cracking.
Let's do it.
And welcome back. Welcome back, John.
Hey guys, lovely to see you. Thanks for having me back on the show, Adam. Lovely to meet you, Andrea.
Nice to meet you too, John.
So let's just dive right into it. What do you think of that No Excuses video?
That was powerful. Very, very powerful. I think it's one of those things that maybe if you started your day with getting yourself really revved up by watching that, it would be a great way to start your focus and your intention for the day.
I agree. Andrea?
I thought it was fabulous. I even wrote down some things as I was watching it. Fear. I put that as number one. And then when they said fear, boy, I was over here like, yes. And our mindset, I thought of our mindset as well. Kill the comparison game. Love the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Those are some things I'm working on right now. So those are I need to hear that every day.
Yeah, well, this is what me and my partner would do. We do it about 3 times every single day. Like when I'm coming home from school, a school run, or walking to school, I've got earplugs in and I'm listening to these speeches. For example, Dwayne Johnson, Buddha, Steve Harvey. I'm just listening to all these amazing people just saying, get up, just do it. So, and the reason I've actually put that video on is because it actually connects with what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is empowerment. Yes. I'm in a way, even though you're an empowerment coach, John, which I'm so grateful you're up at this time in the morning, your time. And it's grateful that we're all connected from all over the world as well. UK, America, and even Australia. So how cool
How amazing is 2022 when we can all be in this digital room having this conversation?
I know.
I love it.
Yes. So, first question, what is empowerment, John?
Such a big question, but ultimately I think it boils down to one word, in my opinion, which is responsibility.
Yeah.
Once you are willing to take responsibility for your thoughts, for the words that come out of your mouth, and for the actions that you take, you truly are empowered. And as we saw in the video, once you make excuses and you blame people and you look external from yourself, that's disempowering. So that's how I'd like to simplify it for myself.
I totally agree. And obviously, if you've got any questions to throw Andrea, just crack on.
When you say take responsibility, that resonates with me because it is, we are what we think, aren't we?
Absolutely. And when it comes to responsibility, what I've found in my own life and in others through conversation is that it's an onion that has layers. You get through this layer and you're like, I'm going to take responsibility, then you pull back the layer and you're like, oh, look, so some more responsibility in here. And then you just keep peeling back the layers. And once you can ultimately start peeling back those layers and get rid of that crud that's on the outside of all of those small, minute excuses and the stories that we make up, and we start to really go, well, if I take responsibility for this and I take responsibility for that, what am I actually capable of achieving? That's when you start to recognize and realize how powerful just the simple concept of responsibility is.
I agree. I totally agree. And people find it too easy just to make that simple excuse.
Yeah. Because we've been quite often conditioned. We live in a society, you know, here in Australia, we just had political elections. Now, if you want 6 weeks of watching people take no responsibility, just turn the television on and it's surrounding us. And we see it in the workplace with people who are blaming others for their performance. This person didn't do this or didn't do it. Or at school, the teachers didn't teach us this. It's just almost ingrained as part of our society that if you really, truly want to become empowered, learn what responsibility is. And it will be the first step in a journey of your own evolution.
Yeah. Anything to add, Andrea?
Yes, when it comes to everything that John said, I mean, I could see it in my own life. You know what I mean? I mean, I call it looking at myself. So I'm taking responsibility, looking at the woman in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, things happen and yeah, other people might hurt us, but you know what? We can make a conscious decision to get away from that person, right? Sometimes we don't. You know what I mean? We come back and keep coming back. Well, when do we take responsibility to move ourselves out of that situation?
Absolutely, Andrea. And I think one of the things that's really interesting about that is if we go back to the video and we talk about fear, and I think that's a major contributor as to why people don't take responsibility for certain things, like the fear of failure. For some, it's the fear of success. You know, there's these fears that as humans, we're almost programmed on a biological level to move away for safety reasons from that fear. Mm-hmm. And once we can start to build a really strong relationship with uncertainty and knowing that we can handle it, I think that's the key. Having that self-talk that I can handle this is when we're really going to start progressing in our lives.
I agree.
Well, when you survive things in your life, I'm sorry, Adam, you hit on something, John. When you're dealing with things in your life, coming to the realization too that when you get to the other side of it, you can look back and say, I handled that. I survived that. I can do this. Yeah. I'm in that, that's something that I think that we live every day. I mean, I'm dealing with it in my life right now for sure, And
what I love about that too, Andrew, is it comes down to framing. You can take responsibility for the fact that, yeah, I got through that and I'm powerful. Or you can take responsibility once again for creating that blame and excuses of, this event or this, pain that's occurred in my life is the reason I am holding myself back. So once again, it comes about taking responsibility for your choice as to how you look at a situation. And then that becomes empowering rather than once again becoming a victim.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, both of you, because I actually uploaded a status a couple of days ago, and it was actually a question to everyone, which I got a couple of people commented on that. It's actually, do you want to live in adversity or do you want to live in resilience? And that was actually one of the speeches I actually listened to, because if people want to know what the difference between adversity and resilience is adversity is you're living in the past. And it always says that if you're living in the past, you feel like you're failure and all that. It's like, if you're going to feel like a failure, you're not going to experience success. And if you're going to live in adversity, then you're not going to experience some sort of resilience in moving forward with your life. You're going to be stuck in that trap, that vicious cycle. Get out of it, because life's a choice. You can't change the past, but you can change here and now.
Yeah, I love that. And look, from my own life, I can, point out a number of different experiences that whilst I was in them, I felt like they were going to break me. My father's death, I've been in toxic domestic violent relationships, I've been in these situations where coming out the other side, I now recognize that those moments have created my superpowers, have helped me in certain ways that if I had not had those experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am now, and I wouldn't be having this conversation with you guys.
Yeah. I'm grateful you're here.
Yes, we are.
Mate, I'm grateful that you've invited me back. I loved the first time, and I'm so excited that we get to do this again.
I know.
I love to learn. Oh, I love to learn. You're teaching me so much. I'm absorbing so much. And then a lot of it is confirmation of work that I'm already doing. Thank you, John, for helping me to know I'm on the right path.
Oh, you're welcome. Look, I suspect, Andrea, from the conversations we've had already, I think you already know that you're on the right path. And all of these kind of conversations that we have, like, this is the value of human connection. And from my experiences with life, I think that's where you know that you're living a satisfactory life, or one of fulfillment, is in the relationships that you have with others. So once you start having these kind of conversations and connected with like-minded people who are on a journey too, and who are open to exploring these kind of discussions, you just naturally start to expand, because your subconscious starts to get filled with these thoughts.
Exactly. And your mindset's everything. And instead of actually letting the mindset control you, you control it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think once you can teach people that reality is all based about personal perspective, and that each of us are actually creating this reality for ourselves. There is no, the TV over here only has the meaning in which you allocate to it. And if you allocate that meaning that this is where I'm going to spend my life, this is the greatest tool that's ever been created, you'll spend a lot of time in front of the television. But if you give it the meaning that it's just worthless nonsense that's going to pollute and make noise inside my head, then you'll give it less meaning. Now, the one thing that doesn't change in that situation is the TV. The TV is still the TV, but it's the meaning in which you allocate to the TV that defines your reality, which is ultimately created from that perspective.
Exactly. And that's how I've made my lifestyle change, because I'm guilty. I used to eat junk food, greasy food. I had sugar and caffeine every single day, and drink alcohol. Now I've gone 6-7 weeks without alcohol. I've cut out caffeine altogether. I've cut out sugar altogether, and I'm all organic. So, and I've lost a stone in about a month.
Congratulations, mate. That's not easy to do.
Congratulations. It's not.
Exactly.
No, you have to have that due diligence and be driven and focused.
And can I ask the question, Adam, as we just, Andrea just pointed out, you've got to have that drive and that focus. Yeah. And most of the time it's a big why. What is your why for making these choices?
Exactly. And that's exactly how it is. And that actually leads me onto what I've actually experienced, and that was fear. I lived in that fear of we've got, I don't know if you've got it over there where you two are, but we've got something called Boots here, which is a medical center where you get all your prescriptions and all that. And they've got a weighing scale in there. And for 2.5 years, I was petrified of going inside and weighing myself. I was petrified. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to just do it. And that's exactly what I did. And now I do it every single week. Because what did you achieve?
So just to clarify, Adam, what is it like? What drove that decision? Was there a moment? Was there something that you thought to yourself, I want to do this? Because cutting out sugar and alcohol, that's an incredible achievement. And for what you've just said, 6-7 weeks and you've lost a stone, those are great results. What was it that really drove this decision home for you?
I just believe it's time to change. It's time for change. It's out with the old, in with the new.
It was your mindset. Your mindset changed.
I actually woke up with that mindset. I woke up with that mindset because I used to drink about 3-4 coffees every single day, and now I'm on herbal teas with no sugar in it.
I was freaking out the other night because I didn't have some sodas. I didn't have my Pepsis. up in here.
I,
And I
I
mean,
do-
ooh, but you know what? I got over it. You know, I just told myself, stop it. It's not doing anything but harming you. Why are you drinking all these sodas? You know
well,
what I mean?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because now we're going to go back to that video where it says, yes, it's going to be hard, and I admit it was a struggle at first. I was in a lot of pain in my stomach because of this change, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I haven't gone and got soda yet, and it's been 3 days. So
Yeah, exactly.
Well done, Andrea. Well done.
and
And
so
look,
what
you
I'm
know,
drinking is I said coffee, but I'm drinking tea, Egyptian licorice tea, and it's good for me. You know what I mean?
I'm drinking mint and ginger at the minute.
Yes.
Egyptian. Sorry, say that again, Andrea.
Egyptian licorice tea.
That is
Yogi
wild. I
sells
don't
it.
think
I'm not
I've
trying
ever heard
to
it.
promote Yogi, but
That is
yeah,
wild. I don't think
Egyptian
I've ever
licorice.
heard of it.
Sorry.
Wow.
No, you're right. Beautiful. I love that. Now, I did want to go back to Adam just for a second. And so, quite often, what I find with people, the way to success of, making these changes is through small habit changes.
Yeah.
So, tell us about those small little habits that you've had to change along the way.
Well, I don't see them as small, but I see them as huge. It's a huge step because I've not gone to the gym. I didn't go to the gym in over 10 years. Now I start going. I did go, but I thought, you know what? Why spend money on using machines when you can just get in front of the telly, which is not mainstream media, get onto YouTube and do some exercises that way? And that's exactly what I do every single day.
Yeah,
I do exercises because it's free and it's in your comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously as well, I start doing more steps. Like obviously I said before, I played that video. I took part in this 80-mile challenge for mental health. I've smashed it this month.
Yeah.
I've smashed it. So there you go. And I've still got a few more days to go.
I like watching the Derek Blanks, those videos. I go and watch those and do those where you're doing Taibo.
Yeah.
And see, this is one of the things. This is one of the things that's so powerful. We talk about technology, and quite often I hear people going, "Oh, there's so much going on. My phone's going off. I've got the TV. I've got all these things." But once you make technology your servant and not your master, that can be a game changer in the way in which we learn to interact with ourselves.
I agree. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, John, because obviously I know we've all got our views, but with COVID and the war and now monkeypox in the UK and all that.
We've got it here now too.
Which, to be honest, I'm taking absolutely no notice of any of it, because what I'm doing is what you need to do is refocus your mind. Instead of focus on that, which is all negative, focus on the positive. Our Prime Minister kept saying for about 2 years, social distance this, social distance that. Not once have I ever listened to that, because I've social connected. The mental health warriors are born, and look at the people we've connected with.
Yeah. Well, that language in itself is damaging. Social distancing. What we really wanted, it should have been. The idea was physical distancing, not socially distancing. Once we become socially isolated, that's when our mental health really struggles.
I agree.
So true.
Yeah, and there are people.
Reach people through technology. You can reach people.
Sorry, Andrea.
You can reach more. I'm sorry. You can reach even more people. I didn't mean to cut in, Adam.
It's all right.
I'm trying to be mindful, but I was just thinking out loud.
You're probably going to do that all night anyway. But yeah, because there's people here that have actually took their own life because of those words, that statement, because of loneliness. And yeah, it's hard, but it's only hard if you let it be hard.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, I agree. I think that in these moments when we are in times that we've never seen before, and we've got all these, things being thrown at us by the government and by the media telling us we've got to be this and we've got to be that. This is the time where we've got to really stand up and go. And I think this has happened for a lot of people too during these last couple of years, where we've gone, who is it that's really important to us? Who is it that when we spend time with them, they make us actually feel good, that we're actually in their company because we enjoy it, rather than through obligation or some, system of, I must be friends with you because we've been friends since we were kids, but then we're just different people now. And I think those things become more and more obvious once you find yourself facing that adversity that we have over the last couple of years.
I agree. And I've kept myself busy because obviously I've been doing this. I've had an old team and now I've got a new team in the Warriors. We've been doing our qualifications, our credentials within mental health. Obviously, my partner's now doing a level 3. I am a level 3 in mental health, so I'm a qualified therapist. I'm doing my SEND course, so we're staying busy.
Mate, that's so good to hear. Well done.
I know.
on going out there and using this time constructively by, getting those qualifications and having that focus. Well done.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I got told, you do know, getting into the mental health world, it's going to be hard because you're going to come across some really raw stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it probably will. And it probably will trigger me from time to time. And it has. It's set my mental health back from time to time. But ever since I've quit caffeine, I've had less setbacks, and I'm going to say it, I've been fucking loving life.
Mate, that is so good to hear. And look, I suspect that sugar's probably got a big thing to do with that as well. I think that we probably underestimate how much sugar affects our mental health.
Well, there's a saying that caffeine can actually cause depression.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has heard that.
Look, I would suspect that probably anything, if you allow it, can contribute to depression for sure.
Yeah.
And sleep deprivation. I went through that. I was drinking coffee day and night, grinding and, working, and, the mad scientist of data over here, I'm over here, I'm drinking coffee till 11 o'clock at night, wondering why I can't sleep. And then once my doctor asked the question, what was something that changed? Because I don't drink coffee like that. It was out. Out of my character. I was tearing some coffee up, but once I let it go, I'm sleeping better, and that I'm glad that we could figure out that's what it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just sleep, that leads into a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleep is essential. And, being just able to identify those small little changes in your life, whether it be coffee, whether it be not watching screens, half an hour before going to bed, to make sure that your brain is re-energizing and you're actually getting the benefit of that sleep is so crucial.
Yeah, I agree. We've actually got a comment from Canadians Robert Brooker. I like tea, hot tea, discovering Southern style brewed ID tea at 15 when I was homesick. I found out how to make it and had at least 2 litres each day until I found the gallon jugs over 10 years. But I did get to the no sugar phase. But when in the South, I'll be having some of that sweet tea. There you go.
Beautiful. Oh, look, tea is incredible. It is a gift. It is an absolute gift.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, ashwagandha is another tea. Ashwagandha tea that helps with stress.
Right, I didn't hear that. I hadn't heard of it.
Yep, it's ashwagandha tea. I look into different. That's how I was raised. Looking at different herbs to heal as well. That's probably why I have those healing abilities, and interests, because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased to hear
I've got
that too.
Flavors. I've got different flavors anyway, so yeah.
Now, guys, I wanted to talk to you today because this is I've been listening to an audiobook, which is how I like to consume my information. And there's a book that I've been listening to at the moment that I really wanted to talk about because I thought it really worked with the whole idea of empowerment. And it really aligns with the video that you showed, Adam, also. And it's a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. Bronnie Ware was a nurse here in Australia who did a lot of palliative care and would assist people during the last sort of moments of their life. And she would have conversations with these people because, you know, near the end of their life, they were so dependent on a nurse in their house that those are the moments where I think all the fear and all those things are stripped back and you can get a real clarity of what's important. And she wrote this blog and the blog took off and then eventually she's now turned it into a book. So I wanted to have a chat to you guys and get your perspective on what she has listed as the 5 regrets of the dying. Because I think this is a really powerful platform to really start looking at your life and going, what can I change that's no longer serving me? What's something that is feeling like an obligation rather than actually progressing me forward in my life? So I just want to start with the first one, guys, which is I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So how does that resonate with you guys?
Go on, Andrea. I'll let you go first.
I thank you, Adam. It resonates with me because, you know, I definitely was seeing myself doing that. You know what I mean? Not having the courage, always letting fear, you know, stop me and giving myself excuses to kind of keep those fears, you know, kind of like a check mark. Yep. It's not going to work for you. You know what I mean? And my mindset was not correct at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know what that feels like to be there.
Or if I can just catch your language there for a second, Andrea, maybe it was correct at that time that you needed to be in that mindset at that particular time to now have learnt that that wasn't resourceful for you now. And because of that, it actually was a correct mindset because you've grown from having that perspective at that time. What I love about this, you know, having the courage to live a life true to yourself rather than living by expectations is quite often we fall into these traps, you know, whether it be the template that we're given almost from children that you go to school, you get a job, you find somebody, you buy the house, get married, have the kids, retire, then die, and that's the template for your life. We quite often are living by those expectations. You know, there are cultures, for example, that, you know, we have to get married. You know, I've got a friend who's Indian and he, you know, has an arranged marriage because that's part of their culture. And he's very happy, but there are a lot of people who live by the expectations of their culture or their family cycles or their friendship groups, and they are living lives that are not true to themselves. They're living by the expectations of others. So I thought this one was really, really powerful for me. And I know it's one where I'm a pretty quirky guy. I'm a songwriter. I'm really interested in a lot of different things. And I tried to fit into so many boxes along the years of people telling me I should be this or I should be that, or, you know, just to try to find comfort and belonging, which is a huge thing for people wanting to feel connected. And I ultimately woke up realizing that, hang on, I'm not even happy in my life. I'm doing all these things that don't actually serve who I am as a person. And once I started recognizing that and realizing, okay, I want to get back to a place in which I know myself. And I start asking those questions. What is it that I enjoy? And do I really want to be in this box because that's what's expected of me? Or do I enjoy being in there? That I was able to start really making solid changes rather than just going with the flow.
I agree.
And so I reckon this one will resonate with you two guys too. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I reckon there must be, everybody who's going to watch this is probably going to resonate with this idea on some level. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I admit I have overloaded myself from time to time, but life is all about balance. You have to balance your life, and at time I was guilty. I didn't do that, and when I didn't balance my social life and family life, I almost lost my family life. I almost lost my wife. I almost lost my kids. But now I've rebalanced that. I've no longer got an extended family. I haven't. Any regrets? No, not at all. And now life's all about me. And I used to put others first, and I didn't notice that I had an identity, but now I do, and I know it's really about hang on a minute, why am I focusing on other people when I should be focused on myself, self-love, self-commitment, self-acceptance? And that's what I do now, because it's like, if you can't do any of that with yourself, how the hell can you do that with others?
Yeah, spot on. And Andrea, what about yourself? Have you worked too hard during your life?
Yes. Like I said, the mad scientist of data. So I love doing research and learning about things and adapting programming through the research. And so I've had nights where I'd be sitting on my bed with all these documents and I'm hearing the larks, that's letting me know that it's morning. And then I look outside and the sun is up, or I'm in here in my office working away on a document or doing something, and now it's come to a point where my children, and I ask them to do this for me, to help me. Now, Mom, you gonna be much longer? You know what I mean? And shutting it down, being, like you said, it takes balance. I need to rest because we can't function if we don't. So just knowing what I have to do, like you said, Adam, taking care of myself and focusing on me to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah, and that's so important.
And that all resonates into family. I'm sorry, John. That all resonates into that family time and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important. Once again, we come back to, Adam's initial point that it does come down to balance. And sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, once I finish this, I'll get to that. And we keep putting it off into this distant future that never arrives. And this is one of the things. Absolutely. Absolute excuses. And one of the things that I love about this book, and I'm only in the early stages of it, is that she'll sit down and she's changed all the names of the characters that she's met along the way, but she tells their story before getting to each of these lessons. And this gentleman was one of those people who worked his life, really, really hard because he was in a position that gave him power and status, and his wife wanted him to, retire. And he said, no, I don't want to retire, because he enjoyed the status and everything associated to it. And then by the time, and I don't want to give the book away, but this is only one of the chapters, by the time he made that decision, finally his wife had been standing by him all these years, waiting for him to retire. They had these plans to go and travel, and she got ill and she was gone in 4 months. And he had these regrets that he'd spent his entire life working for status, where the woman who'd stood by him, she'd missed out on those things, and he'd missed out on getting to share those moments with her. And so, quite often I see people who, they want to have the big house and they want to have the nice car. And so they work hours and hours and hours in this cycle. Yeah, I've been there too, Andrea. I was very much in that place myself. And I was lucky that I had a moment in 2018 where a job made me redundant. And I had this moment to sit down and think to myself, what is it that I really want in my life? And what I realized is that I hate Mondays. I hate working Mondays. And so I said to myself, I'm never working on a Monday again, unless it's something that I'm really passionate about. And over a period of time, I've now got this balance in where I spend more time living my life than being a prisoner to work, because it generates an income, which then gives me fancy guitars and fancy cars and all that kind of stuff. It's so important to try to get through that place where you realize that, I used to be a cadet journalist making $300 a week. And then I was in another job where I was making $1,000 a week. And the only thing that really changed was the quality of the things that I had around me, not my actual life. And so if you can get to that place where you recognize that ultimately human connection and spending time with those ones that we love is so much more valuable than any money that you'll ever experience. And I think there's a quote from the Dalai Lama, I love it. He's asked what's the thing that perplexes him about life, and he's like, humans. They spend all their life to earn all this money, to then use that money to basically repair their health that they've caused through working so hard to get all the money. And he's so right that we get, once again, as we go back to number one, those expectations. We've got to be successful, and we get success based off definitions of other people, and then we work so hard to try to achieve these objections that aren't even our own.
Yeah, I want to pick up on that, because I don't feel like I'm going off topic here, but growing up, I was very close to my granddad, who's obviously sadly passed now, and I never got to say goodbye. I wasn't allowed to say goodbye. I wasn't allowed to his funeral. None of that. And that broke me, and that affected me for over 20 years. And now, how weird is this? Literally every time I'm in that shower, I always feel 2 taps on my right shoulder. And it turns out it's him. And then one day I was just meditating, and I was meditating for about 15 minutes, and something came through. And that was my granddad saying, I know you didn't get to say goodbye, but I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm watching over you. I'm proud of you. And that's big. That's influence in some way.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah,
So I really highly recommend meditation when it comes to self-love.
Yeah, it's so important. Look, learning to slow down this thing, that is masterful in itself and a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
So number 3, guys, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm sorry. I don't. People hate me. I get on people's nerves because, I just come out my face. You know what I mean? So, okay. I could take it to another level, John, and say, okay, I'm more mindful of how I come out my mouth. You know what I mean? That connection. You know what I mean? Being kinder, not roaring like a lion all the time.
Can I ask a quick question? And the question would be, the things that you're expressing, are they your opinions, or are you really expressing your vulnerabilities about those things that are really dear to your heart? Because, quite often I see people who are very outspoken and are happy to express anything that appears inside here sometimes without very little regard for what the consequences of those words coming out of their mouth may be, but actually have a massive wall when it comes to sharing their vulnerabilities and really saying what's in their heart.
I'm really doing that now. And Adam, you're my witness. When I go on Facebook, what I do is I put #vulnerabilitywarrior.
You do.
Yeah, I love that.
And I go in there and I express things that I would be afraid to express otherwise. So I'm doing that now.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. What about you, Adam?
I'm doing it in part of it.
Going back to the fact that I never had identity, obviously I was abused growing up, and I kept that to myself. I kept my feelings to myself for over 21 years because I didn't want to be a burden on someone. But it's like, hang on a minute, who gives a shit what people think of you? End of the day, the only opinion or view that people should have on you is yourself. That's all. I don't care what other people think of me. They can like me, love me, hate me, want to kill me. I don't care. I know people out there hate me. I don't see affected by it.
You're looking at them like, don't run up. Don't run up, though. You can hate me from over there, but don't come up over here hating.
Well, all I've got to say to those people that actually hate me is thank you for taking time out of your miserable life to actually think of me.
I like that perspective. I'm still in it.
Just saying.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Guys, number four is I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. And I think this is such a big one. And just quickly to add to the third one, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I know in myself that this is one that for many years, being a man who was raised by a man who was born in 1925, men didn't express their feelings.
No,
they played a certain role and they were, tough, and they had to keep on going and get through those moments. And yeah, for a long period of time, that was the downfall in my mental health, was trying to play this role, even though I was a creative, sensitive kid. But I had to put on this mask of I'm a man and this is what men do. So getting to this point in my life where in my 30s, I'm happy to, my process is very much get really sit and take time to reflect on what it is that's actually coming up for me. And then once I've got control and understanding of what that is, then to have the conversations with the people around me that it affects. And so that's a skill I've had to learn over the years. You know, it wasn't something that came naturally and it wasn't programmed into me. But number 4, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. Like, I think this is a big one. So many of us, we get such busy lives. And, you know, we've got our family obligations and we've got our work commitments. And sometimes it's like, oh, yeah, I'll catch up with you soon, mate. And then soon.
Never get around to it.
Yeah. It's such a big one.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because just recently I actually reconnected with someone who I have literally not seen since I was in primary school, which was about age 11, 12 years old. And I'm actually meeting up with him tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. That's
so there
good.
you go.
That's wonderful. See, that's my thing. You know, like in the midst of, in between appointments and working, again, work, you know, I'll think of, I want to call my mom, or I'm thinking of, you know, I'm just thinking of it, but I don't follow through. And so I sat down with my family and said, guess what? What I'm going to do from now on, when I think of you, I'm going to just pick up the phone and call. I'm going to just text you. You know what I mean? Because I need their connection.
Yeah, I want to add to that, because there's a lot of people, and they're still doing it today. They're always saying, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. All I've got to say is that, what a load of crap. And I'm saying that because at the end of the day, we've all got time. We've all got time to make those excuses. We've all got time to whinge about something that is very irrelevant in your life. But why don't you spend 30? Because it takes 10 seconds to pick up a phone and dial a number. It takes 20 seconds to send a text message to someone. Just saying, are you okay? 20 seconds. That's not going to kill your busy schedule.
One of the things
I've seen the results of that, which was beautiful. You know what I mean? The results of just doing it.
Yeah.
It's reciprocated, you know, that kindness, just being kind and checking up on somebody. It matters. Heck, we want it, don't we, for ourselves, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And I think just going back to what you were saying before, Andrea, like, I live a fair distance normally from my mother, and I had to, you know, make sure, because time management really is life management, to make sure that I scheduled into my week that this is the time I'm going to ring my mother, so I can make sure that we've got that connection, that I check on her, make sure she's well, that she hears about all the things that are going on in my life. So sometimes, you know, we're rushing around and we're not really conscious of how we're spending a lot of our time. But when you start to schedule in those people that matter, you start to see that resonating energy between those people that you care about.
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Sorry,
guys.
Getting goosebumps. Flu.
That's okay. I hope you feel better. You know, you gave me goosebumps with that one, John, because, that's why I took my mother and my children, and we went to a lakefront home in Louisiana. The kids' dad hadn't seen his siblings in over 20 years, so that was a big bringing folks together, and it was beautiful out there by the lake. You know what I mean? Just sitting in the back with my mom and my children. I tell you, I came back 50 times stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, one thing to get over. Yeah, well, one thing to get over your cough, John, is get some peppermint down you.
I'll put that on the list. Probably also not being awake at 5:30 in the morning would have probably helped as well.
Thank you.
But
okay, look, John.
Guys, number five on the list, and this is a massive one because it insinuates there's an assumption in this, which is number 5. I wish that I had let myself be happier. And the assumption is that we have the choice to be happy. And this is a big one for me as someone who suffered from severe, depression for years, who went through multiple bouts of being suicidal, who used substances to avoid having to deal with uncomfortable emotions. I got to a place where I realized that I asked myself this massive question. You know, after years, my father had died, and I was in this place where I'd hit rock bottom finally. And I asked myself this question: what do I actually want? And the answer was simple. It was happiness. But what I realized when I got to that answer was that I didn't actually even know what that meant. And so I got to the Dalai Lama's The Art of Happiness. I started reading Laws of Attraction kind of thing. And I recognized that ultimately that happiness was a choice that I made. It's a state of mind. It's a mindset. Once again, it's about how we frame these things. And ultimately, you know, through making that decision, every morning I had a vision board. On the vision board, it said, today I'm going to be happy and compassionate, because those two are really intertwined, in my opinion. And yeah, once you get to that place where you recognize that happiness is a choice, you are in a position to let yourself be happier. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't allow myself to be happy. You know what I mean? I didn't open my mouth for the things I needed to, you know, and that would just most likely be from my family members, you know, being able to open my mouth and say, hey, I need you right now, being able to be vulnerable with them and show them I'm, you know, that, you know, I really need you. And I mean, being able to cry, because I was one of those kids that I felt like it showed weakness and you wanted to be tough all the time. Tom Sawyer, you know, being Tom Sawyer, being that tomboy. So being able to do that, being able to be vulnerable and just let my heart out, you know what I mean? Just let it flow. And when the tears come, I could watch a commercial anymore and I cry if it touches me. But I think that's beautiful. It feels good, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really such a powerful thing, Andrea, to be able to get from that place that you're at to now have that vulnerability to be connected to your emotion, and to know that, you know, once again, like, you know, they talk about that there's really only two emotions. There's those ones that feel good and those ones that don't feel good. And if you can get connected to both of them, because neither is wrong, and you can feel comfortable in yourself to express them, a lot of that will massively change your mental health once you're able to express your emotions and not suppress them and hold on to them.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So Adam, what about yourself? I wish I'd let myself be happier. Is there moments when you reflect back?
Yeah. And I used to have a lot of negative days, a lot. And I used to let people's comments affect me, and I'm like, hang on a minute. And now I've come to terms, I've got mental health, I've got depression, I've got trauma, I've got anxiety, but hang on a minute. You have to question, do we actually have this? Because we weren't born with these labels. We were never born. So why the hell should we let these labels impact our life? See, right now, I'm looking at Adam Duvall, Andrea Evans, John Trager. I don't see depression attached to that or PTSD. I don't. So why we actually keep branding ourselves with these labels?
I think once again, you know, my partner has the label of ADHD. And for years, she asked herself, you know, why can't I do these simple things that a lot of people, you know, around her seem to be able to do so easily? And when she got that label, for her, there was some peace of mind that came with it, and understanding, you know, which was really important. But what was also important was to not, as you just said, let that label define her. That, well, once again, go back to that place of excuses. Well, I've got this label, which means I can't do this, and that's not how my brain works, so I'm not going to do that. And that's what's really crucial about mental health. It's great to have a label to give yourself understanding as to why you tick the way you do, but not to let it define you.
Exactly. See it. Don't see it as a mistake or a trigger. See it as an opportunity for growth and acceptance.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, like, once again,
for me to be able to help people to understand me, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm in a situation and they're not getting me, I'm able to be vulnerable and say, look, and be able to bring that label about to help them to help me better, you know, to better serve me and me to better, you know, be not all hyped up, but be
See,
calm.
I just want to touch on one. I just want to touch on one of them, and that's autism. Now, obviously, it used to be called autism or something like that. Hang on a minute, autistic summit disorder, but now it's gone from ASD to now it's ASC, and I think that's the best thing it's ever done. I think we're going to sound old school here because I'm so glad that word disorder has been eradicated from that. And the C now stands for communication, and communication is absolutely crucial with everybody, including yourself.
Yeah. I personally
Absolutely.
believe that communication is the key to everything, you know, better relationships with yourself and with others. And it's one of those things that quite often we overlook because we don't recognize. Quite often, this is one of the things that's fascinating about, you know, language in particular, is that we will speak to people in concepts. And a concept is basically an idea that has millions of bits of information, and we'll speak backwards and forwards, and we'll think that we're understanding each other because we're speaking in these concepts. But what we're not recognizing is those concepts are made up of our own personal experiences and our own meaning that we allocate to those concepts. So this is where there's a breakdown quite often in most relationships, is the fact that we don't know how to communicate, to come from a place of curiosity, go, what do you mean by that? We just already make those assumptions that we know what they mean. Oh, I know what that word means, and it means them the same thing as it means to me. And that's not true. It's not true at all.
I want clarity, you know, and I will ask a lot of questions because that's how you try to have a more effective communication, you know, because one word also means how many different things, not
Absolutely.
just a person's perspective. That word, it can mean this to us based on everything we just said. So those misunderstandings happen because we're at different places and different definitions.
Yeah, and all of those things, and you know, culture as well is one of those things that, you know, families give meaning to ideas, and then you could be sitting there, and you know, quite often I see it in relationships with people. You know, the woman's expressing herself, or you know, the man's expressing himself, and they just seem to be at war like this, like they can't understand, but they seem to think they're talking about the same thing, but they can't understand why they're clashing. It's because they're not getting to the bottom and chunking down. What do you mean by that? Like when you say this, what does that look like? What does that sound like? Because we just make all these assumptions because it's easier. If we sat down and we actually wanted to explore what people were saying to us, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of curiosity. And so, you know, that's one of the things that I recommend straight away is sitting down with your partner, blocking out all the noise, and have a conversation where you get really clear on what they're saying to you rather than the assumption of what you think they're saying to you.
I agree. I totally agree.
So before we go, guys, I just wanted to also just go through those 5 again, just to run through them for those that are playing at home. The 5 Regrets of the Dying, Bronnie Ware. I've only just started listening to it, but it is absolutely captivating my heart. Those 5 regrets. Number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. And number 5, and it's such a beautiful one, I wish I'd let myself be happier. And so the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is that I think that I'd love people to just go away and filter that through their lives and look at their lives and use that as a platform to go, am I ticking these boxes? You know, when I get to the end of my life, and this is a really great exercise, if there are people out there who are watching and who are, you know, wanting to make change in their life and not exactly sure where to start, there's a really beautiful exercise where you start by writing your eulogy. So would
you be able to put the link of that underneath this video?
Of the 5 Regrets of the Dying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will find it and put it through, absolutely. But I think this is really ties in nicely where you use the exercise of writing your eulogy to start bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be in your life by reverse engineering at the end of your life. When you get there, how is it that you want to be perceived? How is it that you want to feel about yourself? And once you can get to that point and go, am I living in alignment with the values required to get to that life? You'll start to see what changes need to be made in your life. It's such an effective tool.
Exactly. So, I need to catch my breath now. So, Andrea, how was this first live for you?
I think this was fabulous. I love it. I'm a data person, and to come here and meet John all the way from Australia is an honor. It's been wonderful. It's been, I mean, I've learned so much, and I'm not the same woman I was before I got on this podcast today.
Oh, Andrew, that's so beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. And look, it's vice versa. You know, I've learned so much from having this conversation too. And that's what's really important, that we recognize that each of us are teachers. And through just the simple act of being able to converse and talk about our experiences, we can all have the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, well, just letting you, just give a bit of a heads up, Andrea. We're not done with the Aussies because we've got an Aussie on next week. There you go.
I love it. That's okay. That's all right. Bring them on, baby. Bring them on.
But all I've got to say is thank you for coming on, John.
Thank you for having me on.
Legend. And yeah, you probably want to go for another cuppa. Maybe you'll probably go back to bed.
I think I might go back to sleep actually and have a bit more of a nap. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Awesome.
It's 2 p.m. here, so I'll be going to the grocery store after I get off of here.
Well, it's 9:05 now.
Graduation.
Well, once I'm off this, I'm off to bed. So there you go.
Well, rest well, because we just spoke about sleep. Get you some.
Yeah, absolutely. Crucial.
I know. Well, I was going to do my college.
He said, I know, but he crossed them arms when he said, I know.
Yeah,
I saw you, Adam.
Absolutely.
I was going to do my college, but I thought, no, I'm just going to chill out tonight. So there you go. Process this.
Okay, chill out.
Right. A little bit of heads up, guys. I was due on tomorrow with a panel full of American and Aussies, but that's sadly been cancelled. So it is going to be rescheduled for a later date. And that title is actually called What Does the Future Look Like to You? That's what I was originally going to do tomorrow morning. So that's not going to go ahead. And I know I've not included it in TV Guide because it was a last minute show. Art My Medicine's back on Saturday with Dorota at 9 a.m. UK. I can't remember who a guest is, but please tune in for that. I know you're going to be asleep, Andrea, but there you go. I'm going to sign off now. Please share this in awareness, and we will see you Saturday. See you in a bit.